Special breaking news, Albie.
First time ever.
First time ever what?
This is the first time they've ever vacated the speakership on a vote.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I just thought I heard Janine Pirro on the 5 say that it's been 100 years.
They had voted, they held a vote once before, but they didn't actually succeed in removing the speaker. And then there was one other time when they were like going to hold a vote, but they didn't make it to the vote.
So this is the new status of the
anyway.
House of Representatives.
On this vote, the yeas are 216. The nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
So it's funny, Democrats aren't making more noise there.
Yeah.
They just said, now what? So what happened was...
Well, people
Gaetz,
are, that's why I think people are confused now.
On this vote...
So now,
this is the first time
what
they've
we've
ever
had
done
is
this.
now McCarthy worked with the Democrats to do the continuing resolution, and so Gaetz has recalled McCarthy on with the Democrats. So all the Democrats joined Gaetz and a few others, and all the Republicans essentially joined McCarthy. But all the Democrats needed was
eight Republicans.
Right. So McCarthy's no longer speaker.
All they needed was 5, I think.
This dude is Ripley.
It
Chair
was
declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
He beat the out of the table with that.
I believe that's Patrick McHenry, who's been declared the speaker pro tempore.
He is not in a...
he's a McCarthy guy. So, and I don't think they were expecting it to necessarily actually happen. It's a little bit of like the dog actually catching the car, because like you heard them all, like nobody clapped or anything. I don't know what people thought was going to happen.
Well, I don't think if you're the Democrats, you don't want to be any part of it. I mean, you wanted to vote and had it happen, but you don't want to take ownership of it. Because they do own it. It's mostly all Democrats.
Well, really, Matt Gaetz owns it.
Sure.
But they could have held McCarthy. They didn't want to. Hakeem Jeffries said he wasn't going to. McCarthy said he wasn't going to try and make a deal with them.
Why would you do anything but so chaos? Why not?
Yeah. And basically, the Democrats said this is their infighting. Let them fight and figure it out. I don't think we're going to end up here with a Democrat speaker. I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Here's McCarthy as he's escorted out. It's interesting. He looks like a prisoner.
Congressman, will you resign?
What's next?
Congressman, will you resign? Will you resign?
Will you put yourself back on the ballot, sir?
Did you mock the congressman's faith?
Don't go beyond the ropes. The rules are back now, and of course, a lot of people are saying it matters. It matters. This is totally team sports at this point. If you're a Tea Party or not a Tea Party guy, if you're a Freedom Caucus guy or a really big the hell with it MAGA guy, then here you go.
Boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking Americans, $10 and $20 and $30 at a time, and you all keep showing up at the lobbyist fundraisers and see how that goes for you. I reserve.
This is a guy who's universally, with the exception of like 6 people, hated by his party.
Yeah, and by the other party too. He's really like kind of a disliked guy.
Very interesting.
But and this is the situation that was set up by winning a really narrow majority, because it means that you don't need to lose that many Republicans to have an unstable situation. And it also is set up by, Trump pushing so hard for McCarthy, who's kind of hated by the base. It's like how he pushed for Ronna McDaniel as RNC chair. Like, the people who like Trump don't like McCarthy, actually.
Right.
And it's like made some strange bedfellows. So obviously, Jim Jordan, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a bunch of Freedom Caucus type of people have been with McCarthy here because, and you heard Trump say it the other day, people were asking him about McCarthy and he said, I like McCarthy. He's always said nice things about me. So, that's as far as it goes with Trump. He doesn't really care. yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens now. I think one of a few things could happen. I don't think there's any pressing reason why they need to have a speaker if they have a speaker pro tempore.
I don't know the rules. I don't
know the rules either, but
I don't know what they...
No Republicans are going to vote for a Dem speaker.
Right.
So...
To whose benefit? People have called you a narcissist. People say that is to your benefit alone. Is it to the benefit of you and to Donald Trump?
It's the benefit of this country that we
Gaetz.
have a better Speaker of the House than Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy couldn't keep his word. He made an agreement in January regarding the way Washington would work, and he violated that agreement. We are $33 trillion in debt. We are facing $2.2 trillion annual deficits. We face a de-dollarization globally that will crush Americans, working-class Americans. Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
To whose benefit?
Obviously,
so yeah, and I mean, he's not wrong. We are on the verge of a debt crisis. This is a few days ago from CNN Opinion by Brian Rydell, I guess his name is. I don't really know who he is or what his deal is. Oh, he's a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Turns out if you look at the story, it tells you. But this was an interesting article to me because it's once again talking about the fact that the Fed has raised interest rates. There's no signs they're going to go back down. And Washington has spent the last 15 years borrowing at incredibly low interest rates, and that debt rolls over at the higher interest rates. It's not fixed rate. The interest rates on this stuff go up. So the debt payment within the next few years is going to balloon into like another Department of Defense, essentially.
Right.
So the national debt is about to become a huge, huge problem, and we continue to do deficit spending. So we're continuing to add to the debt. So just at the existing rates without any new spending, right? Like even if Washington passes no new spending and Washington allows all the tax cuts to sunset, which they're definitely not going to, nobody's going to let a tax cut, particularly on, middle class people, expire. Then we're going to have a huge, huge problem paying our bills. We're really like on the verge of a serious problem. So because, we borrowed all this at very low interest rates and Washington has not like noticed that they're going to have to face the music here, that the payments on the debt are going to keep escalating. It's really bad. I mean, to the tune of trillions more dollars per year that we're going to have to spend just to pay the interest payments on the existing debt that we already have. So, it's like if you buy a house at an adjustable rate mortgage and you don't lock anything in or refinance or whatever. So it's a really big problem. It's really going to start to impact Washington, and, like people have to get serious about spending. They have to. And that's not the conversation that's happening in DC at all. Not in the slightest. So, somebody does need to take it seriously. I'm not sure Gaetz is the guy. I'm not sure that like his tactics. A lot of Republicans on social media are really mad. A lot of them were mad about what he did the other day, where he tanked the deal the other day, saying like, oh, we could have had the more conservative deal, but they screwed it up and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But at some point it becomes not worth the like half measure compromise solutions too.
Well, I mean, so what is your personal feeling on what's going on?
My personal feeling is, well, I mean, I enjoy excitement and chaos. I enjoy that it's the first time we've gotten
that I like chaos, right?
That, I enjoy that we've gotten rid of the House Speaker for the first time ever in the middle of the thing. I think it's kind of exciting. I think it's interesting how they voted on it and it went that way and everyone was just quiet. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, what do we do now? Because I don't think they know what comes next. So I think there's a few possibilities of what could happen. We could go back to doing the thing we did when Kevin McCarthy was voted in as Speaker, which, where we hold a bunch of votes
Ideally, it's supposed to be one, but
a bazillion times, and they negotiate and they argue and whatever, and they try and see if they can vote McCarthy in again. That's one possibility. I think, and I don't know enough about the rules if they can just leave it vacant, but like I don't necessarily see a reason why not. Like you can just have the pro tempore guy hang out there, Patrick McHenry, who's a McCarthy guy. You know, I don't think like the ceiling's going to fall in or something if they don't elect a new speaker. I don't think a Dem is going to be elected. I think they could end up eventually, after a bunch more votes, voting McCarthy back in. There's not an obvious consensus candidate that you're going to be able to get in there, I don't think. I mean, do you? Who would possibly... Maybe like a Jim Jordan or somebody?
I guess so. But, you know...
But is that enough to get like the really moderate conservatives on board,
I don't like the idea
too?
of elevating like good pit bulls to the management role.
Right.
You know, they don't do both. The Speaker of the House is responsible for administrating the oath of office to members of the U.S. House of Reps, giving members permission to speak on the House floor, designating members to serve as Speaker pro temp, counting and declaring all votes, appointing members to committees, sending... That's where the power is, right? The committee stuff. And sending, and sending bills to committees and signing bills and resolutions that pass in the House. The Speaker is also second in line behind the VP to President. Jim Jordan is good in his roles, and he's investigating, and he's good. And I don't know. Has there been a GOP chick speaker? No, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, Nancy Mace, who I thought McCarthy had saved her bacon a couple of years ago, she spoke about him too.
I've made deals with Kevin McCarthy, with the Speaker, that he has not kept to help women in this country, and we have done nothing for them. Or as a survivor of rape, and I worked all year on a rape kit bill that hasn't seen the time of day, I cannot tell you how frustrating that is as a woman in this conference, in this capital, to have that happen. Like, if you make a promise, you should keep it. And if you promise women you're going to help them, then you damn well better do it. So as a fiscal conservative, I'm angry. As a woman, I am deeply frustrated.
Well, there you go. Dude ticked some people off, and he just needed to tick a few off.
It is interesting, though, because, I mean, obviously Gaetz famously does support Trump, too.
Yes, Trump's guy. But this is by no means a refutation of Trump.
No, but McCarthy's also a Trump guy, clearly, and has a lot of Trump people on his side.
Gaetz.
Right. So it's very much, I mean, like, I think the media wants to cast it as, like, Trump MAGA people versus the establishment, but it's not necessarily that either, because Trump very much has been in favor of establishment people in those roles, like Ronna McDaniel too.
Yes.
You know, but mostly I see Republicans being very mad about it online. I don't really care. I mean, what were they going to do that was so great with McCarthy as Speaker? Oh, it's dysfunctional. It looks bad. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I don't... Like, it's all a bleep show anyway, all of Congress.
Julie Kelly has a great tweet on this. Say what you will. But my sense is that if McCarthy had not embraced Ukraine funding all year, formed a separate J6 committee, or at least a highly functioning weaponization committee, and immediately moved to impeach Garland, Wray, and or Mayorkas, none of this happens. I feel that way. I feel that way. I feel like he hasn't settled in to be the kind of speaker that he wanted to be, rather than the rented custodian that he really was.
Right.
You know, he was like this is not a normal ascension.
He's out of step with where the party is, really.
Well, yes, and I mean,
and that was clear from the battle to vote him in as well.
Yes, I guess so.
Because that also was, quote, unprecedented, you know. But yeah, kind of uncharted territory. I assume now the Republicans are getting together and trying to figure out what they're going to do. You know, I think it's a positive thing that the party is forced to listen to fringier elements and chaos agents a little bit.
Yes.
You know, because you got to do something real, then that means, to satisfy them. And I think that especially when he got voted in with so much difficulty, he obviously made promises to people at that time in order to get voted in about ways that he would handle stuff that didn't come to fruition. So, I think that it's important to hold him to account. If he gets voted in by promising you stuff and then he doesn't do it, then, fair's fair.
I'm right
what
there
is
with
that noise you keep making?
Okay, so that noise is, this is important inside info.
Okay.
Or effers. So, we stream, and this is good, so you guys want to know, we stream on Acast. We used to stream on SoundCloud. Now we stream on Acast. As of a few days ago, in order to get into Acast, now you have to do this reCAPTCHA thing. You have to put your username, password, and then the reCAPTCHA thing where you have to click all the squares with a motorcycle on them, or click all the squares with a bike or a bus. And it's been a huge pain. It's been a total pain.
It also logs you out super fast, where it used to keep you logged in much longer.
Yes, right. I can do it for days. Now I have to keep on doing this freaking login thing, and it sucks. It has made the enjoyableness of this thing, of Acast, it's terrible. It's terrible. And I'm always logged out when I get back in. I got to go, circle 153 freaking motorcycles. And this is the third. I've done it 3 times today.
Right.
3 times today already. And so
You're on the live chat with an agent.
I'm on the live chat with an agent, and I said, and it shows a whole bunch of people are up there, live human beings up there. They seem very nice. And I said, this new reCAPTCHA login thing sucks. I'm sick of hunting for buses and motorcycles. They respond with, how to create a podcast on Acast? Which podcast listening app should I use? How does Acast measure podcast download data? And they said, and then they respond, did that answer help, or are you still looking for something else? If you didn't get what you needed, reply here to continue the conversation. I said, no, the login requirements suck. They then sent the same exact thing, 3 options. Now I'm going to swear. The FUCKING, all caps, login requirements, FUCKING BLOW. I've escalated.
Is that how you escalate a customer service complaint?
And they've sent the same thing. Wait, now it says talk to a person?
Yes. Tommy in the chat says, welcome to AI customer service.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. It sucks. Sucks. I don't care if somebody figures it out, logs in as me, and does Al-Qaeda propaganda on the Burn Barrel XML feed. That's fine. I just don't want to have to go through this thing. It's the worst thing in the world. I used to have these battles all the time with, what were those called? Splash screens. When I was a web guy at even WRKO, they're like, oh, we're going to sell splash screens. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you tell everybody, F you? You've got to sit here and endure this stupid promo for like 25 seconds before we let you in to our mediocre website. Oh, God. Okay, that's fine. Nobody cares. Okay. Should we move on, Alice? There's been a murder in Winchester.
There's a lot going on today, actually. There's a lot of stories that I want to get to, and there's stuff I didn't get to from yesterday I wanted to get to.
My buddy, who as you know,
You've famously corresponded with.
I'm in negotiations with. Dan Katz, Big Cat of Barstool, is in a spat with Taylor Swift.
Not with Taylor Swift, but with Swifties, I
well,
would say. They're very, very upset with him.
You don't think somebody's going to get to her and she's going to move the story?
She tends to ignore media flaps, generally speaking.
Where am I looking on this phone?
In Winchester residence.
Okay, so you have the original thing?
The story?
Yeah.
Yes, I have the story itself. So basically, I can fill everybody in on the story if that's where you want me to start. So basically,
I can do it. It's an NBC
This was
Boston.
a story. This was a story that was emailed to us from the local patch today, where I read it to you because I was like, I feel like I'm missing some information in this story or something. Something's weird, but it is from yours and Kirk Minahan's hometown of Winchester, Massachusetts. So we were intrigued. Winchester, Massachusetts police investigating whether a dog was shot to death after its owner said it was fatally wounded while on a walk with its owner in a Winchester forest, according to multiple reports. The dog's owner reported hearing gunshots Monday evening. just before finding his dog, who was off-leash, dead off Sussex Road, but can't confirm that the injuries are due to a gunshot, WCVB reported. And then it's on WCVB and Neckin and everywhere, right? And basically this story is this guy's walking his dog in this Winchester woods that you didn't even know. It's like on the Medford side of Winchester.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this. I have been there. Me and an old friend in Winchester once visited up there. We were told there was an insane asylum called like the Brooks School or something there. It wasn't as like developmentally challenged kids there. They actually caught us poking around. And
so it's like behind the Oak Grove Cemetery. So almost in Medford,
essentially
basically.
Medford. Yeah, I'd never heard of this place.
But this guy was on his walk with his dog here, off leash. Says he hears gunshots and then finds his dog dead. Now, they're saying that they haven't confirmed that the dog was killed by gunshots, that they have to do an autopsy on the dog before they know. But the police, he says he heard another gunshot like 15 to 20 minutes later.
Right.
The police searched the area for 2 hours. There's apparently helicopters overhead today. Everybody's going nuts there. Like, they're advising residents to avoid the woods.
Yes.
And, like, it's this whole big thing. So then Tom happens to, because of his status as a former Winchester resident,
permanent SHM,
permanent SH and be in the Winchester groups. So we went looking to see if anybody had any more information.
So the first comment on this is, sadly, it was only a matter of time. This was 100% preventable. That is by a guy named John Myra. Class of 1991, ally of Thomas Shattuck. Alice, this is I believe shares our politics.
Why was it only a matter of time?
I don't know. We'll see. This guy Andy says, or this woman Andy says, like no gun law maybe. John Myra says, like obey the existing leash laws maybe. I love it. John Myra's dog blaming, which I think is fantastic. He says,
well, that's one of my questions. So? If this is like a pit bull that's off leash and ran at somebody, like if I were armed, I might shoot it, but I don't know if that's what happened. Or is
but
this
in the woods, there's a chance there's going to be unleashed dogs in the woods. So John Myra says,
I mean, but if it runs at you, a dog, depending what type of dog, if you had a gun, would you shoot it?
I mean,
or do you wait until it has your head in its grip? I mean, we don't know what type of dog. I don't know.
Alice, it's Winchester, Massachusetts.
Well, it's almost Medford.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. You're an elitist, Alice. John Myra says, like, obey the...
You're an elitist. You're the one who said it's Winchester, Massachusetts.
John Myra says, like, obey the existing leash laws, maybe? Why take away a constitutional right to protect a lawbreaker? That makes no sense. Andy gets back to him. Killing dog who doesn't even bark at you has nothing to do with protecting yourself. What about the dog's rights to run free?
Do dogs have a right to run free?
Where is that exactly mentioned in the Constitution? The dog's rights to run free. Can you imagine that? John Myra says, first, who says the dog wasn't barking? Second, the owner couldn't even see his dog. That's how far away and out of the owner's control. I like that Myra's going right in to combat right away. There's no mourning period. Hi, John, by the way, if you're listening. That's how far away it was. It was shot. Third, there are several off-leash dog parks in the area. Go there where it's legal. Fourth, dogs don't have a right to run free. Fifth, how do we not know that this dog didn't threaten a person with small children? That would make the shooting 100% legal. Even if there were no children, a concealed carry permit holder can legally shoot a dog or any animal for that matter. He's a 2A guy who's ready for this fight. That is perceived to be a threat. That is why we have leash laws to protect humans, not animals. This is a tragic set of events that could have been prevented if the dog owner was responsible. They weren't, and the poor dog paid the price. Very sad. Julia Weissman says, do we know that the dog was shot because it was perceived as a threat? Asking because I didn't see that in the report posted. Myra says, no, we don't know. I said it could have been. What we do know is that statistically concealed carry permit holders, does he sound like it? Are more law-abiding than off-duty police. Okay. We also know the dog was off-leash illegally and would probably still be alive if it kept on a leash. No victim blaming. Maura Sullivan says, sorry, but you have absolutely no basis for that comment unless you know the shooter and the reason for the shooting. I'm shocked at your response. This is getting good. Jerry Levine says, Maura Sullivan, it seems particularly reckless to discharge a firearm so close to where people live, in a place where people go walking. I never heard gunshots when I was in Winchester, I gotta say.
Well,
hold on.
Okay.
Don't say anything, because I know what you're going to say, but don't say anything.
Okay.
Morris Holden says, I love how everyone sticks up for the lawbreaker who's irresponsibly cost a dog's life. Myra says, hold your assumptions. Morris Sullivan says, John Myra, are you sticking up for the shooter? That is a shocking look. And if you read my post, it focused only on you. What was the comments that you had read?
Well, that's what I was getting to. I think they're on a different post than the one you're reading. This is Marsha Brown's original post. Says, have the police caught the person who shot the dog in the town forest? They're treating the town forest as a crime scene, processing, looking for clues. This was a dog walking in the forest with its owner, sick and really disgusting. And then someone else, Deborah, comments, very upsetting. Also upsetting, we live 100 yards away, and the police are just notifying us now. Shouldn't an alert have gone out that a person with a gun disturbed enough to shoot an innocent pet was in the area?
Mm-hmm. An innocent pet?
Well, first of all, we have no idea. Only this one guy says he heard gunshots.
Right.
And we have not autopsied the dog yet, so we're not sure. We also don't know.
Were there other comments that we had?
Yes, I'm getting to them.
Okay.
So then the next person, Christiane, comments, no info is available or warning about shelter in place for those of us who live in the neighborhood.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Sheltered in place.
She needs a shelter in place.
There were shots fired somewhere in the woods in Winchester.
Maybe.
Possibly. And so everybody needs to be locked down by government.
Yes, please make us shelter in place. Tell us what to do. Disturbing and scary. So there's helicopters circling the area. This is disgusting.
Wait a second. Somebody say tell us what to do?
No, I'm saying that asking feels like we should have gotten notified sooner. So,
how beautiful
do they know? Are they aware in Winchester how often there's people that get shot in Boston all over the place? And nobody shelters in place or does anything about it?
And there may be some kind of hunting allowed in Winchester in some places. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that woods, but there is in our town right now where we are, essentially Newburyport, essentially. So now people are all.
But imagine if in Boston, if they did a shelter in place every time somebody got shot in the streets.
We need to have a shelter in place, but also what is the idea of shelter in place?
Well, there's a deranged individual with a gun out there somewhere.
So
maybe
it helps to be in the fetal position, panicking. Order us to panic, please. We need to be ordered to panic and to hide away from anybody. It's like this idea that whenever anything happens, we all have to crawl in hope that we're not just executed where we lay. It's amazing. Why would anybody ever shelter in place?
Assume attempted murder charges would be viable for the dog's owner who could have been hit. People are disgusting.
That is beautiful. Dog's owner was not within eyesight of the dog.
Horrifying and sad, awful and cruel, should be treated as a crime. I keep saying there's too many guns around.
How beautiful is this? And that this town melts, and that there's now infighting between people, calling each other horrible, awful things because people, it's gun people again. And the gun guy, my guy, John Myra, class of 91, is, of course, and he's duking it out with them. And there's total chaos in this town. And as of 47 minutes ago, there's breaking news.
Right. I mean, so I'm just wondering, though, because people do live around this area. Nobody else reported hearing gunshots, correct?
Okay. Did you hear the last thing I said?
No.
I said, and 47 minutes ago, there's breaking news.
Okay. Sorry.
Dog that died at Winchester Town Forest, which I never knew existed, was not shot. Necropsy finds. Listen to this. So this town, the pitchforks are out. People are never going to speak to each other again. A dog that died at the town forest in Winchester, Mass. likely fell on a stick.
Wait, fell on a stick?
So now that changes everything. Now the biggest a-hole in this story is the dog. You don't have not fall on stick training downloaded automatically.
I would put the dog owner in contention for the biggest a-hole, too.
Yes.
I heard gunshots. Do they know what gunshots sound like?
How embarrassing. We have friends whose dog got killed by a bus. Yes. That's a terrible and awful, but, that's a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Mr. Boots? He fell on a stick. What? Is he not around here?
Wait.
He's not on a stick. I love that there are helicopters all over Winchester, too, today. The media copters. Look for the shooter. Look for the shooter.
Shelter in place. There could be a stick anywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Can you imagine? Likely fell on a stick, fatally wounding itself.
Wait.
I need to get the breed of this dog. And necropsy found contradicting initial reports that the dog was shot. Winchester police say they received a call around 6:30 for a dog that had been shot and killed in the town of... By the way, so this does tell you, the cops now should be saying, okay, we just spent a lot of money. They brought in state police. They brought in all sorts of resources.
Yeah, they've been searching the area for like hours and hours trying to find the dog shooter.
When they arrived, officers spoke with the dog's owner, who told police he was walking his dog off leash when he heard a gunshot and then found that his dog had been shot. Fluffy could only have died from a shooter. Fluffy was just like a person, so intelligent. It must have been a shoot. Imagine that. That means the person who was walking the dog immediately went to Second Amendment person with stupid hat. You had to have your guns? See? Now I don't get to have my dog. They wanted, this is all, everybody wants to be the biggest victim in there. And you get people who live in the neighborhood saying, you're now telling us to shelter in place? See? We could all be sticked. While speaking with a concerned neighbor, the dog's owner said they heard a second gunshot in the distance.
I'm sure it was really far in the distance.
Gunshot, ice cream truck, either way. Did it sound like, did it sound like the MBTA? About 20 minutes after the original shot. However, a vet took the body of the Australian Shepherd. That's too bad. That's a good dog. Overnight. No, but that is a massive F up for an Australian Shepherd. Massive F up. That's like tripping into a tree shredder.
It almost makes me wonder if the dog owner is on the up and up here, because how do you have a dog that you run to the police and you claim it's been shot, and then the autopsy says it tripped on a stick? Like, I mean, what could have happened?
He impaled himself.
But I mean, like, it just seems like a weird thing to me. It seems like the owner maybe did kill the dog. And
Alice.
I mean, like, I don't know. It just seems like an odd thing to confuse.
According to the town's police chief.
Tom, if Pepper ran away from you in the woods, if you had her off leash, you're walking her in the woods, and you then called the police and said Pepper had been shot and they found you sobbing over her body, and then the autopsy said she hadn't really been shot, what would I assume happened to Pepper?
That I killed her.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. By the way, was the dog not ambulatory as it was trying to recover from its stick?
I mean, well, no, because he said he found the dog.
X-rays further confirmed there was no metal in the animal's body. Thus, officials believe the dog was impaled on a stick, causing a fatal injury. Okay, according to the town police chief, who's like at this point, like, why am I still involved in this?
I think they should investigate the owner, seriously.
According to the town's police chief, a necropsy found a piece of stick embedded in the dog's lung. Ouch.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The report of a potential shooting set off police Tuesday. Set off a police investigation in the area. State police were called in to assist with ballistics canines. They dared to bring other dogs into that killing zone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that is awful. Let me check and see how my buddy John Myra is doing.
How are they taking the news in the Winchester town group?
Myra starts it with, sadly, it was only a matter of time. Immediately dog blaming. But he wasn't wrong.
Has anyone broken the news to the group members yet? Oh, yeah, there it is, 12 minutes ago. The dog impaled itself on a stick, according to WCVB.
So now do we all go back to our corners, or...
I hope they get to the bottom of this. It's very concerning, not only for our pets, but if this dog was killed by somebody, that's a very dangerous individual. People saying that there's still people that think that the dog was attacked by somebody, potentially.
So you're
with
saying
a stick.
he died
Somebody
with
stabbed
stick,
the
but
dog
not
with
of
a
stick, Alice. He was actually shot.
Potentially. He was shot with a stick.
Right.
With a long bow or something. Although that doesn't really make a gunshot noise, so
no.
I still am side-eyeing the owner.
Here, the idea that people have so much psychological and prior baggage now, the idea that shelter in place is something that you want to be a viable option for if anything goes on that's weird. Tell me to stay in my house. By the way,
One guy says his dog was shot in the woods and you want to shelter in place.
But I have a question for you,
Okay.
Alice. Do you need to be told to shelter in place?
No, you're free to do so.
Can't you just go downstairs and lock the doors? But I want everybody else to do it too, so I don't feel like a total pussy. What the freak is wrong with these people?
It reminds me of like the second Halloween of COVID when the first Halloween, like the government issued all kinds of guidance about how to have a safe Halloween with COVID. And the second Halloween, there were a bunch of people who were like, there's no guidance being issued for how to safely trick-or-treat this year, so I'm not sure what I should be doing. Like, Halloween of 2021, like, there was so much confusion. People didn't know what to do because nobody told them how to safely trick-or-treat for Halloween 2 of COVID.
You stand in the doorway, 85 feet away is a table with candy on it, spaced apart.
Well, do you remember even that first Halloween too? There were people who like put the candy out on sanitized cookie sheets and were like cleaning them in between each batch of kids that came through in case you had like the COVID on the cookie sheet or whatever.
Yes. Listen, homie, I know you have stuff to get to, but we have to get to the chat.
Okay, so let's get to the chat, and then we'll do some more stuff in the Patreon show after, which we owe people because it has been a couple of days.
And that's when we get into Barstool and the more Taylor Swift stuff. Big Cat
and Taylor Swift. I mean...
and there's other good audio too, but
because my question is this sow discord now between Big Cat and Dave Portnoy, who's like the biggest Swiftie?
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not, yeah.
Who is this brought to us by?
This is brought to us by the Chelsea Fire Wicked Hot Sauce. They bring us the Chelsea Fire Wicked Hotline chat, where you can leave a message.
Healthy debate. Here is a list.
Healthy debate. That's Rico Bosco's new show.
Songwriters.
He's a Barstool guy too.
Who are currently alive, who I feel match up.
Steve has committed to this debate,
He's
Alice. This is Steve's finest hour.
Yeah.
With
very
Taylor
important
Swift
for him.
and or are better than Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Here we go. Elton John.
Correct.
Madonna.
Correct.
Mariah Carey.
No. She's a dumb.
Bob Dylan.
Had an attractive period though.
I understand people really like Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
I know that they do. I don't. It does absolutely nothing for me.
Stevie Nicks. I don't know if she wrote enough songs. I know that Fleetwood Mac, they were all writing songs. I'm not sure.
Dolly Parton.
I mean, Dolly Parton. I'd compare. Taylor Swift does not have a song as good as Jolene. Although did Dolly write that? And she does not have a song as good as "I Will Always Love You." So
Paul Simon
blows Taylor Swift out of the water. Absolutely. Never forgive Paul Simon for stealing Edie Brickell from me though. Terrible. He said Willie Nelson.
Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond's written a lot of good songs. Willie Nelson's written a lot of good songs. They're both better than her.
How many Neil Diamond songs?
Yeah, but I just don't think Taylor Swift has songs that are iconic like that.
I think she has a lot of iconic songs.
I think it's mostly like this.
I also think we're a lot closer to it. Like we're watching it happen in real time. She's probably like halfway through her career right now. You know what I mean? Like, and she's already written a ton of iconic songs that are completely in the cultural lexicon.
Well, sure. I don't think these songs have the... It doesn't matter because if people are in love with the songs, then they're in love with the songs. But I just think that her music is derivative. It is not brilliant music. I don't think musically, although I can tell that she's trying to mess around, I don't think musically that she's got the chops.
She's not a gifted musician, I would say, like at any particular instrument or anything. Like she can play guitar and piano tolerably, but she's not.
Well, and that's not a requirement
and she's
either.
She's not a voice the way like a Mariah Carey is.
Yeah, Mariah Carey's an empty head.
But she's not like, she's not a singing talent necessarily. She's gotten a lot better over the years.
I think you're underrating her. I think she's fine at instruments.
She's
singer.
fine at instruments and singing, but
Taylor Swift covers.
She wouldn't be famous for that on its own.
Diamond, Joni Mitchell, Billy Joel.
Joni Mitchell and Billy Joel. I'm not a huge Joni Mitchell person. Her look bothers me. And Billy Joel, yes.
I
He's
like
in the
Billy
top
Joel.
5. He's in the top
Yeah.
5. Obviously, he's also derivative. But he's kind of
People
brilliant.
like stuff that makes them happy, though. And Billy Joel is in
understand.
that category. Taylor Swift is in that category.
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z is not.
Steve.
No.
Come on now. Rappers are not songwriters. I'm sorry. With few exceptions.
Would
but
you
I'm
just
not,
put Kanye? Would you call Kanye a songwriter?
I would call him a songwriter. Yeah.
He's another one who I would say makes stuff that makes people happy. Although I wouldn't put him in the category with Taylor Swift in terms of greatness.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen.
Ugh, Springsteen, I can't. There's a lot of crap. I mean, Springsteen, like I said yesterday, is like the Matt Guy's version of Taylor Swift. There's a lot of crap, but you kind of people like the spirit of it, and plus they both give good concerts that go way too long.
Don Henley.
Yeah. I'm not. He's fine. I know a bunch of guys in their 60s who absolutely hate the Eagles and will never listen to the Eagles, and claim in the 70s they were considered a hack band.
Jackson Browne.
Not a Jackson Browne guy. Do you know him? Probably not. He's like Don Henley, but different.
Bono.
Oh! Although
has some good
U2
songs.
has a bunch of good songs.
Stuck in a Moment is a good
That
song.
whole album is better than anything Taylor Swift did.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. She's never had a song as good as Pride in the Name of Love. She just simply hasn't.
Mick Jagger. Keith Richards.
So the Stones were good. They do have a bunch of hits. There's no doubt. I'll put the Stones over her. Yeah.
And Sir Paul McCartney.
They have a bunch of good songs.
You don't even need to.
McCartney's great as part of Lennon-McCartney.
You can find a good 20 solo Paul McCartney songs that are brilliant pieces of music. More brilliant than what she's got.
I feel like maybe he should lose credit for some of his solo songs.
Steve was just about to, I thought he was about to say Irene Cara. Do you know who Irene Cara is?
No.
Feel that Alice, yes, is Taylor Swift a great songwriter? Absolutely.
Made some headway now.
Sure.
If you look at any active songwriter list, Taylor Swift doesn't make the top 20. At one point, Rolling Stone had her at like 97.
Like, I care what Rolling Stone says.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really, really off base, and I'm going to continue this until I
legitimately can't think of anyone. I legitimately cannot think of anyone
now you're
who
stepping
writes
all
their
over
own.
him.
Okay, that's fine. But like, I don't really care how Rolling Stone ranks people. But I can't think of a single person who writes their own songs who has the level of continuous, ongoing, massive success that she has, and that's like for a reason. I mean.
I just don't know. Like,
I don't know. Like, with new music, I mean, she has continuously come out with new music for 18 years now.
Jewel was so much hotter, though.
Well, yeah, but did Jewel write her own music?
Yes. Okay, so Steve said, do you care to edit your statement, as he mentioned, when you stepped on him? No?
No, I don't care to edit my statement. And like Paul McCarthy said, at least at some point, some of it has to come down to a matter of opinion, too. So, right? Isn't a piece of this equation like what you like?
Yes, it is.
So, there you go.
Dr. Cheswick is weighing in.
Okay.
Isn't it amazing listening to Bill Maher and that other guy say, well, some of that was true, you know, and their followers just absorbing it as truth.
Right.
Yeah. And I only say that because I don't watch him. I did watch him interview Robert Kennedy Jr. And that was a very good interview. Although I can't stand the fact that he sits there getting high while he's talking to someone.
Oh, that's different. That's club random. That's different than real time. I don't mind him getting high and drunk on that. I kind of like to see it. You saw the new polling, RFK takes away from both candidates, but either way, Trump beats Biden if RFK's in it.
There's one poll that says that. This is the first poll that I've seen that has it as a three-way race. I mean, it's an interesting result. It's not what my gut feeling would say is correct. Is it what your gut feeling would say is correct?
I feel like he'd take more from Trump, but
I feel like he'd take more from Trump too. And whenever they've polled his favorability with Democrats and Republicans, he has much higher favorability with Republicans than he does with Democrats. And, for people who are single issue voters for vaccine stuff.
I can't get over the fact that a grown adult with a house probably worth well over $1 million is beseeching the government to tell him to shelter in place. I can't freaking get over this. How do we have a broken Volvo in the driveway? I don't get this.
We've made bad choices.
But whatever. But still, I mean, well, most of that was true. That like if you went into a court and said, "Well, Your Honor, most of that was true."
Yes, most of the case I'm submitting here is good. Some is lies.
How are they going to determine that what you're saying is actually factual when parts of it are untrue?
Right.
It's so blatantly just moronic.
Yes,
I can't stand it.
I made 6 gallons of lobster bisque. Only 1 eyedropper full of arsenic is in there. So most of the lobster bisque is not eyedropper. It's not arsenic. I mean, a couple of all-you-can-eat messages.
Oh, good. New all-you-can-eat out today,
Hey,
by the way.
Can you believe that was this morning? That was a freaking lifetime ago.
It was.
Help me understand from a novice standpoint, if Kevin McCarthy were to be kicked out,
would
what
never
would
happen.
Would Harris or Biden nominate somebody to fill that vacancy?
No, this is what we've been talking about today. Yep. Obviously, it's just an election in the.
Yeah, so they have the pro tempore, the temporary guy is in there now, who's a McCarthy guy, and now they get to vote again until they find somebody.
This one, a naming convention, Alice. T.S.
Is that for Tom Shattuck?
Or Taylor Swift. Can't be the greatest. This is probably Taylor Swift.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I think Alice is missing the major point here
Yeah.
as to why Taylor Swift can't be the best singer-songwriter alive. She only appeals to half the population. Her music is directed solely at women, so she is missing half the country. That
is a good point. I mean, everything she sings is gendered, right?
Not necessarily.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is either about a hazy LSD trip or painting. It's not gendered.
But I do think, so first of all, obviously she appeals more to women, but there are guys who like Taylor Swift. But I think plenty of the artists that people are submitting as, better than her appeal more to men than to women.
I mean, Stones have stuff that's not gendered.
They
definitely sing as a guy.
Appeal more to one gender than another. Do you know?
Yes, I get it.
Do you know, do you know a lot of women who are really into Bob Dylan? I'm sure there are some, but there are also male Taylor Swift fans. But it's a question for somebody one generation older than me. I don't know.
The world could care less about her music, and I'm sure she's got guy fans, and I'm sure a lot of them are into musical theater as well.
I think that's true.
But when you say
Dave
somebody
Portnoy.
like Bruce Springsteen or Paul Simon, they appeal to both sexes equally. So that makes them a great songwriter.
Oh, I don't know if Springsteen appeals to both sexes. Springsteen's his guy music. This is loading dock from the old factory.
Well, once again, I'm not saying before a bunch of people call in are like, I'm a girl and I like Bob Dylan, or I'm a girl and I like Bruce Springsteen. Caller's point is not. Caller says there are male Taylor Swift fans. There are female fans of Bruce Springsteen. There are female fans of Bob Dylan. Nobody's disputing that. So before you leave messages saying that, but I'm saying appeals more to, sure.
If your music only appeals to women, can you really be the best songwriter ever if you can't write a song that a large majority of men will even like? And that's just a thought.
So I do think it's an interesting point though, because I do think that part of the reason that this upsets people, like we talked about yesterday, is that I think that a lot of men really don't like Taylor Swift, and
I think it's not just that. I think
but
it's the same way men have have a disdain for their like girlfriend's cats. It's because the girlfriend
like
really
chick
loves
stuff.
the cat. Yeah, and she's
it's
like
dumb.
yeah, right.
But I think there's like a little bit of a chicken and egg thing there, where it's like, do you not like the thing because it's like girl stuff and it's dumb organically, or like the fact that girls like it makes you think it's girl stuff and it's dumb? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I also think that part of the lack of appeal to men is that it's like frankly not sexual enough.
I think there's
like,
a lot of that.
Like Madonna, like Steve loves Madonna, right? Madonna very clearly caters to the male gaze in a way that, I mean, I think Taylor Swift is sexy and obviously wears sexy outfits, but I think there's a lot more in a Madonna video that's for guys specifically that Taylor's not catering to.
Well, and Madonna was probably a manizer. She made that known,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and Taylor Swift. Not only does Taylor Swift, is she not like trying to be sluterific, she demeans slutty girls. You know, she made her bones on a mattress. What is that?
It's the lyric that she just changed in one of her songs. Yeah, the she's an actress, but she's better known for the things that she does on the mattress.
Good line. But that's, you know, so she's the wrong. You know, we want the mattress girl generally.
Well, yeah, but she's a girl's girl, like we've talked about, not a guy's girl. But does that make her not a good songwriter?
No, but as far as the appeal goes, it's probably skews the appeal. And I also don't think that what happens after she does the music really is the point of this conversation. Like where it goes, how it's distributed, and who's consuming it shouldn't matter. The fact is, it should be the work product because we're talking about the best songwriter.
Alice, there was the same amount of singers and songwriters in the 80s as there were today. The biggest advantage that the musicians like Taylor Swift have today are things like YouTube, where you can craft your own music list and you get the opportunity to tune out all the other singers and musicians.
So that's why it's harder to be super big, because people have access to whatever other musicians they want to have access to.
Right, and this is what we were talking about last night.
I agree.
This is naming convention. Alice, you ready?
Okay.
Steve, step on this from Merrimack.
Okay.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Couple things.
Yeah.
One, Steve from Gloucester, gentleman, a scholar.
Oh, come on, these losers. This is pathetic alliance.
Get a room.
Pathetic alliance made up here just to have a united front to attack.
I like that the Steves like each other.
A friend. And he also backed me up on you being a step-on host.
Incorrect.
And I really, really loved the example that you played for you being a step-on host. You were stepping on it. You were stepping on the stepping when you replayed it and added additional live commentary, by the way. And also, just for your information,
yes,
the video doesn't have to be playing for it to be stepping on. You paused stuff so much.
Yes.
It's horrendous.
No.
That's stepping on a message.
No, it is not. Like right now what I'm doing, there's everything needs to be addressed here in pieces. Okay. This message here is 1 minute and 25 seconds long. It has to be.
He would like you to play the whole message.
And pausing on a video is taking issue with, with the video is like the Bill Maher thing, is taking issue with certain aspects and arguments that people are making because the nuances right in there are really important. If you let them get past, then it becomes you've accepted a premise that you should not. This is my whole thing here about, and I want to tell other aspiring producers, learn to use a microscope on the pieces of content that you're going through.
So
you
true.
can find hidden nuggets in there.
Ruin the flow.
What flow?
Case in point today.
Steve has flow.
We were playing that Bill Maher sound.
Yep.
You ruined that segment.
No way.
It's
Alice, thoughts?
I don't know. I do like how you pause things and go through them, to be honest.
There you go.
Like with the longer interviews and stuff.
And you know what else? Guess what? Taylor Swift is the greatest living songwriter.
There you go.
I love you too. So you and I are allies now, and the Steves can be allies.
Sucked. I'm sitting there in the car going, just play the goddamn audio. Let it play, then comment on it later.
No, see, what you would have usually gotten that as are cuts, clips. they would never have played 4 minutes and 36 seconds, which the whole thing was.
Right.
So essentially, I was making cuts out of it, but
on the fly,
on a buck,
because you're too lazy to do it in
on
advance.
I'm not too lazy, Alice. I do a lot of it. It's just I don't have all the time in the world anymore.
I know.
You God.
No.
Jesus Christ. And then as for you launching an investigation.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm going to start calling you Jamal Bowman. Okay? Yeah, he's doing his own investigation too. God. You are the worst.
Imagine I let this go for...
And Alice, thank you for admitting that your husband is a step-on host. Yeah, thank you. It is true. Thank you.
Incorrect. Such dishonesty.
Thank you so much for listening. If you are listening or watching on the Patreon live stream, just stay there because we're going to do the Patreon bonus show afterwards. You can access that through a special RSS feed that's also ad-free, by the way. If you don't like the ads on the podcast, then I don't like the echo. Can you not do the echo, please? That's at patreon.com/burnbarrel that you can access that. If you prefer to listen for free, burnbarrelpodcast.com. Ice cream. Ice cream.